So, in order to get myself in the right headspace for this episode, I was forced to take a look at my own situation, my own life, my own mindset, and see if I came up with a positive conclusion. Today, we're going to talk about maximizing your moments. And I had to think about it takes you down a spiral staircase of memories, regrets, victories, fond interactions and experiences, but you start going down memory lane and it can get tricky when you start thinking about things you would have done different, moments you wish you could have taken a snapshot of right then in your mind. Of course, we take pictures and try to recreate those in videos and recordings and those kinds of things, but when you're just sitting in those alone moments kind of by yourself and you go down some of those things, you start to get life starts to get real quick. And so I wanted to talk about maximizing your moments because I think in a world right now that we live in, we really are laser focused on everything that's going wrong, that is basically upside down, inside out, twisted, back to front, those kinds of things. Looking overseas, looking at our foreign policy that might as well just be in the bottom of the paper shredder because we have literally flushed it down the toilet and really just created totally a total crap show overseas. And those moments are under my magnifying glass right now. Of course, for those families that are being directly affected, my heart and prayers go out to them. But we can't help but just be so laser focused on those stories. And I hear it everywhere. We see it everywhere. And people do feel like they need a voice. They feel like they need to express those things, areas where we have gone wrong in the White House, which are countless. Um, but at some point, it feels like I just keep ingesting this poison that has no end and has really no effect. The more I verbalize something, the more I think I can change it. And yes, it is important to stand up, make an argument, to make a discussion, to create uncomfortable dialogue if necessary. I get it. But are we going to sit back a year from now or 2 years from now or however long this political unrest carries on? Are we going to sit back and go, wow, I kind of missed the forest because of all the trees? I became so magnified within the world that was in disarray that I don't know, I just totally lost focus of my kids and milestones they reached this year, ways I could have been better in my marriage, my job that was basically being cheated because I was only half in and my brain was half out, and I was consumed by all the worldly disruption. So I guess, we talk about living your dash, we talk about legacy, we talk about just what would you do? What are you going to do? What are they going to say about you when you're gone? And what do you do at the end of your life when you realize you missed out on some stuff? Um, so my goal today is really to probably get in the mirror more than I am talking to you, but get in the mirror and just assess whether or not I feel good about the headspace I'm in and the moments that I've created and the moments that I've relished in. And I just want us all to avoid having to say that we didn't soak some of those more important moments up while we had the chance. So to lay the framework, I mean, we talk about some of the negativity we have going on right now and some of the voices that are out there. And I appreciate all the information. I appreciate the people that feel like they want to report the news, and as factual as it may be, it can get a little bit cumbersome. It can get repetitive, but a lot of it does need to be said. But I think as people, we've got to take a step back, and we cannot get consumed with some of the clutter that's out there because we really only have a certain amount of mental capacity. And if we're flooding that with just poison and toxicity, of negativity, albeit truthful and real, I think we miss out on certain moments. And, just because the cynic in me feels like I need to express those negative things so that we can have an opinion about them or offer a solution, or so that we can expose them. But just because I verbally articulate every wrong or violation that's in the world, that doesn't exactly make me the Mr. Miyagi of the news world, or the Mr. Miyagi of peacemakers or problem resolution. I'm not the Jedi that's out there just because I happen to acknowledge everything that's wrong. Even if I create or provide a solution, or a proposed solution, that is, because what am I going to do from this little corner whenever there's just atrocities, egregiousness, if that's a word, happening in Afghanistan, those kinds of things. But I will say, there is a place for it, and there is time to speak up. But I think my point is, we try to get ourselves in this. There's a dichotomy of cynicism versus realism, and if you call me a cynic, I really need to clarify that and say I'm a realist. At least that's what I would have you to believe when I'm trying to defend that argument. But people are what they are, and I think some feel like they're more useful to humanity if they're pointing out all the areas of darkness and all the areas where we need to right the ship. And I'm all for righting the ship. But again, back to the point of this conversation is maximizing our moments, the moments that matter in our little pocket of the world, our sphere of influence. And, it's hard to argue that we would be missing some of the good if all we focused on was negativity and bad, and the bad that's going on in the world. So, I think it's definitely there's those that are out there. There's the camp that, we need to prepare for the worst, hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and we're not sure what we're going to expect. The doomsday preppers, right? The plans for anarchy and martial law and social just absolute discord, which we could be in a version of that right now. But the future decay of civilization, like my son and I have these conversations about, okay, we got to get prepared. We got to do this. We got to do this. Okay, we need some land out in the middle of nowhere. We need to create this huge compound and all these preparations, which, I can't say that that's a bad idea. But when I look down at my watch and 2 hours later, that's all we've talked about is what happens when the economy collapses, when anarchy happens, when it's all about martial law and we're in the streets in chaos. If that's what we're talking about for 2 hours, I feel like we gotta regroup. I feel like we gotta refocus. So that's what I'm here to do today. And I've got 5 simple ways that I've found to maximize my moments that I'm not always perfect at, but these were a reminder that I need to get back to the basics on that. So 5 ways to maximize our moments. The first one is to recharge our radar. We've got to have this, virtual radar that we pick up on significance when it's around us. When we need a radar that actually triggers that, hey, this is a good moment. Like, this is something worth celebrating. This is something worth maybe soaking in for a minute. Like, we need to be cognizant and aware of our surroundings, I think, at the very minimum. But these moments worth remembering, I think if we don't train our brains to recharge this radar and to pick it up when it's happening, man, we're going to regret that. And I think the goal here is to not regret anything. Yes, we've got things we wish we would have done different, but regrets just aren't godly. They're not part of what God intended for us. It's not how we're wired. It's not of Him. So if we want to be a reflection of Him and our spirit be in line with His, like, regret isn't part of that. Neither is guilt, but that's a whole other topic. So I think if we prep our minds during these moments, like we're at an event, if I'm at my daughter's volleyball game, rather than think about the playing time she's not getting, or the coach that says something I wouldn't have said if I'd have been the coach, or the strategy there, rather than think about these minute, insignificant, virtually in the vast scheme of things, moments, what if I took a minute to just realize where I am in that moment, sitting at a volleyball game, really not a care in the world when other people have just catastrophic circumstances, or are in a waiting room at a cancer hospital for children, and their child is in there having tests done. Like, I know it's, at the basics, the fundamentals of gratitude is what I'm talking about. And I know you get that. And this is not a kumbaya session. And this is not, this Pollyanna approach to really take a step back and think about all the good things you have. Like, I think that's vital that we do that. But if we can really timestamp these moments, these events, acknowledge these celebrations, that these appointments, the interactions we have, the dialogue with people, like, I think we could make those bigger, to be honest. I think we take them for granted. So that's all I'm saying, is to recharge the radar, we got to prep our mind. We got to renew our mind. We've got to identify these moments that are worth remembering. And when we're in those times, those events, those circumstances, the things that we attend on a daily basis where we are present, like, sit back and look around and think about, is this a moment that I need to maybe consider to really take a snapshot of? And I'm going to talk about that in a second too. All right. Number 1 was recharge the radar. Number 2, be purposefully present. Say that one a few times fast. Purposefully present. Not just a corpse breathing air, but with purpose, on purpose, in a moment, present. We talk about that in conversations with our wife, interaction with our children, even in a meeting at work with your boss and your team. Like, how many times are you dazed off, daydreaming? So purposefully present means, like, be engaged, be interested. And you know what? Oh, by the way, be interesting. If you're engaged and you're present in that moment and you're interested and you're invested, guess what? You're probably going to be more intentional about being interesting to the people around you and adding value. So engage and be interested in what's going on. Is it something that you're excited about? I didn't say be excited. I said be engaged and be interested and bring value so that you're interesting. And what if you offered the best part of yourself in those purposefully present moments? What if you offered the best version of yourself right there? How could it change the climate? How could it change the culture in a team environment, in a family dynamic? How might that change? And if I had a mirror sitting right next to me, I'd be looking right into it, because I can take a page out of this discussion. Be purposefully present. There's a difference. We all know. I'm talking to people with brains that have some level of cognitive function. So you get what that means. But it takes intentionality, and it takes a desire. What if you just walked in and wanted to energize an environment? What if your goal was to just be a positive, energetic, not a cheerleader, not a rah-rah fluff dealer, but just genuine, authentic energy where people know you're there to make a difference in that moment. So that's number 2, be purposefully present. Hey, I want to reach out and thank my sponsors real quick. I want to thank Summer Moon Coffee here in Conroe, Texas on South Loop 336. Angie and her team provide friendly, genuine, speedy service, and the coffee is impeccable. I will say you got to go in and get you a 20-ounce 8 Winter Moon, or they call it Whisper Moon, on ice, light ice, with an extra shot. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. It's an everyday occurrence practically for us. So, Summer Moon Coffee, Conroe. My second sponsor I want to thank is Randy LeVere up in the great state of Indiana with Armored Nation Coffee Company. Randy sent me a few bags of his coffee, and it's amazing. I've had it before, but this particular uh, flavor he sent me was amazing. I will go and check out his website, his new logo. He's got some new offerings. He's got some ways you can be a monthly subscriber and get monthly just auto-generated shipments of his coffee. So I encourage you to look them both up on Instagram. Look up Summer Moon Coffee Conroe and Armored Nation Coffee uh, Company in Indiana, and check out their websites and order some coffee from them. Go see them if you live here in Houston, Texas. Go see Summer Moon and go reach out to Randy up at Armored Nation Coffee. Number 3, vanquish the vacuum. Yeah, it took me a little bit to come up with that alliteration, and y'all know how I roll. So that brain stumped me a little. So I had to come up with that one. But vanquish the vacuum. What vacuum? Well, the vacuum we're all sucked in right now over the last couple of weeks when we're watching the debacle that is the grease fire of Afghanistan and our administration. Let's just say. I use that term loosely because there's nothing administrative about that group. So if we vanquish the vacuum, we're deflecting this consumption of negativity. I'll be honest, I don't watch the news. Why would I? There's plenty of it to go around on social media with people showing and sharing and commenting. So I think what I need to get, but if I just plugged into the idiot box from 5 to 6 o'clock every night, I bet I could walk away feeling pretty depressed. I bet I could walk away feeling less than energized and optimistic. So if I can get out of that vacuum for a moment, yeah, I need to be informed. And yes, I appreciate certain people that send out the things we need to know and they don't sugarcoat it like most of the negative media, most of the contaminated folks that are out there distributing what they call news. And I will say the news acronym I love is negative entertainment without substance. So if I want to vanquish this vacuum of pollution and negativity and just really poison to my spirit, then I got to deflect it. I've got to be choosy too. I've got to be picky on what I kind of choose to digest, right? There's some negativity and I'm good. I can handle that. But, when you consume half of your day at least with that kind of information, it's going to take its toll on you. So I think we deflect it. I think we filter it. I think we make calculated decisions, strategic decisions on what we want to ingest and digest from an information standpoint. And I believe that if we look beyond some of that, so we get this necessary information, right? But we don't need to look any further with any ancillary items or accessories to the negative pollution that's out there. So if we just get the basic information we need and then we start looking elsewhere, I bet we can find positive pockets within our circles, within whatever climate you're in, the environments that you're in at work, church, the gym, the line at the grocery store, your living room. These environments can have a different complexion if we're looking for it, if we want to create it. The author escapes me, but the name of the book, Power of Your Moments, the power of moments. So I was reading this book a while back, and the power of moments, it's about creating those, being intentional, understanding that you have a part to play, the investment that you make in an actual moment, you can create it to where it is a memory, it becomes this hallmark of a memory bank in people's lives, in your life. So we can find these positive pockets of, uh, information, these positive little pockets within environments that can actually polish off some of that coarse surface that is the sandpaper of information that we seem to be getting right now. So that's it. Vanquish the vacuum. And number 4 here is pause and Polaroid. Those of you that grew up in the, I don't know, prior to the 90s know what a Polaroid camera is, and maybe you still do. I think they made a comeback a couple years ago, a variation of them. But man, I miss those Polaroid pictures. Those were cool. You'd have to like wave them around to dry them off so that they could kind of self-develop and turn into this image that you could make sense of. But pause and Polaroid. You pause for a moment and understand. So you've done the things we've talked about so far, and you've trained your mind and recharged this radar, and now you're in this moment, and you acknowledge it. You're aware of what's going on, and you want to relish in it. You want to make sure that you can recall this to memory again some point. Take a picture of it in your mind. Pause, take a Polaroid of it in your mind, right? These moments can live a long time if we want them to. We can keep them alive as long as we want in our heads, right? We take pictures, obviously, and we lose track of those, and we replace them with new ones, and then we kind of go from one moment to another, right? We just kind of, whatever the shiniest new moment is, we kind of gravitate there, we kind of plant our flag there, and then we move on to the next. But really, if we want to know how to lock these moments into our memory, I think we got to make an effort. It takes an effort for us to step into that moment and take a snapshot of it. And you know what? Here's a novel idea. Invite others to be a part of that. I mean, very rarely are you sitting by yourself whenever one of those great moments happens that you want to capture, or one of those moments you don't want to forget. Rarely are you sitting by yourself. So get other people involved, share that with them and bring them in to that, I don't know, call it a celebration. Bring them into that moment of, yes, this is a good one. This is something I want to remember. Like, think about where we are. We're watching something. We're doing this. We're in this moment. Let's relish. Let's remember this. And so I think that's contagious. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's healthy that we start cataloging those in our brain. We start filing them away and, canning them, if you will, for the people in the movie industry. They can these reels and they're there forever. So I think if we can the reels of our moments, man, and we bring other people involved, get them involved and bring them into this loop here with us, I think they can live forever, and it energizes those around us, which is really kind of what we want to be, right? We want to be this energizing, contagious personality or person that impacts where they are and the people they're with. I think that's what we want, you know? Everybody wants that. Really, if you look around, it just looks different. Sometimes it looks poisonous and dark and evil. But really, all those people, if you brush that away, all those people that put that out there on social media and they're negative and they're talking about this and, dismissing Christianity, dismissing masculinity, dismissing, let's rewrite the book on everything. Those people really just want to be heard. They really just want to create a moment that they can bring other people into and be a part of something bigger than them. That's what we all want. So I think if we maximize our moments and we bring people into that and we take a snapshot right there and we're aware of it, I think we just did that. I think we just made that moment bigger than us. And I think we just stamped it into the fabric of time, of our life. So that's why I think it's important to pause and Polaroid. And finally, so number 5, ways to maximize your moments. Grab some gratitude. That alliteration wasn't quite as difficult. So if you're shaking your head, rolling your eyes, that's cool. I get it. But hey, give me time. You'll learn to love me, I think. So we talk about gratitude all the time. Like, I think gratitude is paramount. I think it's a staple, should be a staple to everything we're about, everything we're made of, should be a staple in every aspect of our lives. It's not. I'm as guilty as anyone. Again, we're going to bring the mirror in here so I can talk into it. Grab some gratitude. We are in a society, man, that is okay with feeling sorry for ourselves. We're okay with just bringing so many people to our pity party. I mean, it's an open invitation to that thing. And we've got a crowd usually, and everybody feeds off everybody. So, we take things for granted, but then we also sit in these bad moments more than we sit in the good ones. And what I'm trying to create here with this talk is create more good ones, maximize those moments, live in the space of gratitude. It's okay to compartmentalize your life sometimes. It's okay to compartmentalize that one thing that happened to you today that sucked. But then there were 4 other things that if you stop and took notice of and realize it could have been way worse, or you've got these things over here, compartmentalize and dwell on these. Because most likely the negative that you're focused on is probably in the minority if you were doing a pros and cons list of your day. So, we miss the moments we take for granted. So then all of a sudden we're not maximizing our moments because we're missing them. Can't maximize them if you don't acknowledge them or you don't even see them. So to maximize them, we got to first acknowledge them and create more of them. And then we start figuring out this whole maximizing concept. But we got to get some gratitude on us. It needs to be dripping all over us, off of us. It needs to be bouncing toward other people. It needs to be jumping off of us. They say, the COVID virus is airborne. Well, our gratitude needs to be airborne, if you ask me. People need to be able to see it, because there's people close enough to you in your life that you know what you're going through and know you've had some challenges or know you've had some struggles, or maybe you've had some major violations and people you betrayed or hurt or things you've done. But now look at you and they're looking back going, wow, that dude is grateful. He could be depressed. Like, he has every right to be pissed off and depressed and just wallowing in self-pity and just hate, but he's not. So be that guy, be the one that doesn't take anything for granted. But I don't have to tell you guys this. You don't get yesterday back and you aren't guaranteed tomorrow. If that doesn't put it in perspective, then I'm not sure what would, because you can't get it back. I heard a term today, in fact. Give a shout out to Chad Wright from 3 to 7 Project. I was listening to an old podcast that he was a guest on. Andy Stump show. And Chad said, a ship doesn't sail on yesterday's wind. And I thought that was profound. It blew me away. And I that might be a cliche that's super popular, and I just have lived 49 years and never heard it. I don't know. But that was profound. That was deep. That was big time. And so that to me says, you know what? Yesterday was fine, but we can't live there. And you don't get it back. So you got to recreate these moments. That way your yesterday good moment becomes today's and then tomorrow's, right? But we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So we got to kind of live in the moments now and create those now. And then if we get tomorrow, if we're lucky enough to get tomorrow, then we do it again. Too many glory day gladiators out there that kind of live in the high school time of when they were the quarterback, right? State champion. You can't live there because now what are you doing? That's what the question. So even, good or bad past, acknowledge it, learn from it. Yeah. Enjoy that moment or that memory, but then let's move on. Let's create more of those. Let's don't live in that one 30 years ago. So maybe I got a little off track there, but I thought that was really impactful what I heard Chad say about a ship doesn't sail on yesterday's wind. So hopefully we created some wind for you guys today. Hopefully we created a little bit of energy behind the concept of maximizing your moments. Hopefully you maybe took a note, maybe something hit you right square in the face, kind of like it did me when I was writing these down. But let me recap them for you. The 5 ways to maximize our moments. 1 was recharge the radar. 2 was be purposefully present. 3 was vanquish the vacuum. 4 was pause and Polaroid. 5 was grab some gratitude. So, hey, I hope everyone is going to make more of an effort, be more intentional, be more aware of moments, how you create them, how you live in them, inviting others to be a part of them. Till next time, be blessed.